Hi, fourth graders. It's Mrs. G again. I'm going to take you through the next session in math. So this is Unit 7, Module 2, Session 4. And the goal of Session 4 is adding fractions that have tenths and hundredths in it. And we'll continue to work through using the number line to help us understand it and continue growth with decimal work. So I'm going to start today with adding decimal fractions using the chart you see in front of you on the screen. I am going to try my hardest to do this and work through. I will tell you some of your SB pages are about a game. I'm just going to introduce the game. You're not going to play it, but I just want you exposed to it. So for SB pages, it isn't on your homework to do, so you skip them. But still listen, because we would be playing it had we been together in the classroom. So I still want you to understand it. But let's start with adding these decimal fractions. Remember, a decimal, all it is a fraction. It's a part of a whole. So looking at number 1, it says 5/10 plus 2/10. So I want you to think like we worked on yesterday. We're looking at tenths. So if you have 5 strips, that's 50 hundredths. I mean, same thing. So 5/10 are 50 hundredths. Plus 2/10 are 20 hundredths. We can write that 2 different ways. We can write it as, I mean, the easiest is just saying 7 strips out of 10. But we know we can also say like 70 out of 100. And on our number line here, we jump 70. Okay, blah, blah, blah. It should be right here. This line represents the 70 out of 100 or the 7/10. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it'd be right here. So this is, I kind of say like 0.7. Oh my goodness. I just can't believe how bad I am at writing. It's with this pen, my loves. Okay, let's see if I can't do better. Now this line right here represents 0.7. We know we can also write that as 0.70, 70 hundredths, whichever way. Both are acceptable. Both mean the same thing. We can also write it as 7/10 or 70 hundredths. There are 4 different ways you can write this and mean the exact same thing. Okay, but thinking about it, I want you to really understand the value of 7/10 out of one whole. So looking at it, we already know the sum. We did that first. We probably should have rounded first here and guesstimated because that's what the best mathematicians do. But let's look. It says, will the sum be, and SUM means when you add two things, that would be the answer. So will the sum be less than half? Okay, well, halfway through is right here. So I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be less than half. Equal to half, it did not land on that line, that messy line, Mrs. G did. Or greater than 1/2. Well, even let's just say, working backwards, starting over, if we already have 5 out of 10, that's half in itself. 5 is half of 10. So 5/10 is equal to 1/2. If we're adding something onto that, this is the one that makes the most sense. Let's look at number 2. Number 2, it says 4 hundredths. So that's like 4 pennies out of 100. You don't even have 1/10. So 4 hundredths, you guys, is just right here. It's 4 of those. I hope I filled in 4. I can't tell. 4 hundredths plus 38 hundredths. And 38 hundredths, I'm going to be super efficient and just go by tenths here. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. So this is 0.3. So 38 would be 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. So 0.3 or 38 hundredths. Honestly, this is, I mean, I don't even know how bad somebody can be at writing using this stylus pen. But that's 38 hundredths. Okay, so just to get an idea of where they're at on this number line, will the sum be less than 1/2? if I'm adding this plus this point, seems like here's the halfway point right here. Seems like if we only add 4 onto this, it definitely is going to be less than half. It's going to be right here. The sum will 100% be less than half. Excellent. And then, okay, so what is the sum when you add those two? So what is 38 hundredths plus 4 hundredths? It's really just adding 38 plus 4 because they're both out of 100. 38 plus 4 is 42. So 42 hundredths, which you guys, if we were looking at it, would be, here's 40 right here, and then 2 more, it would fall right there. 42 hundredths, less than half. So far, not too difficult because both fractions presented to us have had the exact same denominator. So, you know, they're divided up the same. So that makes it a little easier on us. Now let's do one where they're different. Look at number 3 and 4. You guys, let's see if I can do a better way at it. I wonder if I can do this. What's this? No. Erase and then wipe them. Remember last time? Remember yesterday when I had to like erase it all? Look at, I figured it out. And I didn't explore it. I just did it right now. Okay, let's go down just a little bit. So let's just make sure there's nothing else. This will be the last thing I do before I introduce what the game would have been. So number 3, it says 2/10 plus 30 hundredths. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because they have different denominators. The number on the bottom, we can't add fractions unless they have the same denominator. So let's just, I know the 10, 2/10. I know how to make that out of 100 because 2 strips out of 10 in what we worked on last time. I know 2/10 is 20 out of 100. So I'm just going to make it easier on me and change the 2/10 to 20 hundredths in my mind. So I can really then add them together correctly. And you can't add fractions that don't have the same denominator. So they're trying to trick you here. They oftentimes you're going to get a math problem where you have to add 2/10 plus 30 hundredths, and one of the answers will be 32 hundredths because they want you just to add the 30 and the 2. But they want the mathematicians who catch it and are skilled enough to say, wait a minute, the denominators have to be the same. It has to be divided the same on the bottom in order to add the numerators on top, which is what we did over here. So 30 plus 20 is 50. So the answer, you guys, to 2/10 plus 30 hundredths, when we rewrite it, I just can't write that small here, but this would be 20, this would be 30. And the answer, in fact, would be right here on this line, 50 hundredths. You know, 50 hundredths is equal to 5/10. Same thing, 5 out of 10, it's equal to 1/2. 5 out of 10 is a half, 50 out of 100 is a half. All of it mean the exact same thing. So will the sum be less than half, equal to half, or greater than half? It is equal. And our last, adding fractions with tenths and hundredths, and I can see that they have different denominators. 18 hundredths plus 4/10. Okay, let's just kind of think, what will the sum be? It's like 40 hundredths then plus 18, that's 58. It's going to be greater than a half. Because I know 40 plus another 18 is 58. So 58 is greater than 50. So it has to be greater than half. So if I were to rewrite this, it would be 18 hundredths plus 4/10 is equal to, let me see if I can actually write this. This is going to be an 18, and this is going to become a 40. It's not bad. And when you add 18, now we can add the numerators because we have 100 on the bottom for both. So the answer is, in fact, 58 hundredths. And that is how you add fractions with unlike denominators, meaning tenths and hundredths. You have to make them both be 100. Okay, so moving on to, let's look at, no, not decimal review. Let's look at this. This is the snail and caterpillar race that we would be doing at school. You're not doing it, so don't worry about it. But I just want to expose it to you. So all it would be is you'd be racing with a teammate, and you'd have to add fractions that you create with either, I can't remember if we roll a dice or you put a number on top. So if I rolled, or I spun a 3 here, I do the 3 here. Oh my goodness. I do a 3 here, and then I rolled a 5. So now I have the fractions, what we just worked on, 3 tenths plus 5 hundredths. We know that that actually means 30 hundredths plus 5 hundredths. So we're going to rewrite it to have this like denominators. The 5 doesn't change because it's already out of 100. So what is 30 plus 5? That would be 45 hundredths. And then you move your snail to the 45 hundredths mark, which is, that's 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 40 hundredths, and then we just need 5. So you'd be right there, 45 hundredths. And then it's like first to get across. So it's just practicing tenths and hundredths, switching them to be hundredths, then adding the numerators together. That's the snail and caterpillar race. So it's who can get the furthest, in a certain number of times. You're not doing it. It would just be extra practice. I mean, you could try it at home. And the directions, let's see if the directions are in your student book. They are. So the directions are here. You could, if you had the opportunity to work with a partner, you could do it. You don't have to, but if you want to go above and beyond, that's great. And follow the directions. It'll be even more clear than Mrs. G. But today's work is going to look like this, not this, this. It's decimal review, and then look at number 2. It's exactly what we were doing. So the first part, number 1, it wants you to label each point on the number line. It really wants you to get used to the number line and understand where a fraction and a decimal fall on it, because in between 0 and 1, that's where the fractions fall. So you need to be able to compare them, know the value of them. So label each point on the number line using decimals below the line and fractions above it. Let's do 2 of them, because I want you this time to do it on your own. So let's look at, we can look at any. So I know this though by now, you guys, that each one of these marks here represent a tenth, so 1/10. So I know this mark right here, just understanding the number line, that's 1 out of 10 or 10 hundredths, or 0.1 or 0.10. Now, look at this mark right here is before the tenth. So I don't even have one strip in that big grid. So the base 10 grid that we use sometimes. This is just 1, 2, my goodness, that's just 3 out of 100, like 3 pennies. So if we're writing it as a decimal, we would say 0.03, because it's not 0.3, that's 30. So 0.3 would be here. This is actually 0.3 or 0.30, 30 out of 100. This one is 0.03, 3 hundredths. This is 30 out of 100. This is 3. How do we write that as a fraction? This would be 30 hundredths. And this would be 3 hundredths. And so, you can fill out that number line by using the skill and strategy I just talk through, and you can use previous pages in your student book to help guide your thinking. Let's look at number 2. It says find each sum, show your work. Looks like every single one of these problems have unlike denominators. We need to make them so they all have 100 in the denominator so that we can add it. So let's look at A. 34 hundredths plus 4 tenths. We can't add 34 plus 4. That's not going to give us the correct value because 4 tenths is actually means the same thing as 40 hundredths. So let's rewrite 2A so that we really are clear in our understanding. So that we don't make a mistake. And again, that's very messy work, but I think you can follow. 34 plus 40, in fact, is, you can get to the sum however you want. I got to it by doing 30 plus 40 plus 4 more, so it's 74 out of 100. And that, my loves, is how you add fractions that have tenths and hundredths on the bottom. I want you to do the exact same thing for B and C. And it looks like you'll be able to do it, no problem. The scale, oh, let's erase efficiently this time. And let's go down. I just want to see what else you're going to be asked to do. Write each sum above as a decimal number. So if, oh, I erased it, but it was 74 hundredths for 2A. So 74 hundredths, we know decimals goes tenths, hundredths, so it would look like this, 0.74. That's a decimal. You can even do 0.74 because there are no holes in it. Whole meaning W-H-O-L-E, a whole number. So it's 74 cents, 74 hundredths. That's how you write it. And again, do the same thing from 2B and 2C, carry it down. Write an inequality to compare numbers A and C. So you guys, whatever you get for C here, they want you to compare it to 74 hundredths and tell me which one's greater. There. The other. Number 5, for each number, circle all the other numbers that are equivalent. So what's equivalent to 7 tenths? Is 70? No, that's like $70. That is not equal to 70 cents, which is all you have in A. So not this. 7 tenths? Yes. 7 hundredths? No. 7 hundredths? No. 7? No. 70 hundredths? Yep. That's how you'd read it. 70 hundredths? Yes. 700? No. That's what you should get for those. And I'm wondering, I'm not going to do the rest because I want you to try it all on your own today. But if you are stuck on any of it, go back and watch because I did one for each problem you have to do. So you can do it. Believe in yourself. Keep working on that decimal and adding tenths and hundredths. Beautiful job today. That's all I have. Again, rewatch if anything's still confusing. Otherwise, practice, practice, practice. All right, 4th graders, have a great day. I miss all of you. Hope you're doing well and hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.